good afternoon, good morning, or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Welcome to the Film Realist Podcast, the film and TV podcast from a complete nobody that's hopefully for somebody. I'm your host, Kyle Naranya, joined by my special guest,
Melody.
Hi, Melody. What are we reviewing today on the podcast?
Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Did you see this movie?
Yes.
Do you think we should talk about it?
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into that, reminder that time codes will be listed in the description, so no worries about spoilers. We are going to give a general review with how we feel about the movie, and then we're going to get into the details where we can talk about specifics. Let's get into that right now. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was directed by
Aaron Horvath
and Michael Jelenic, written by Matthew Fogel. The last Super Mario Bros. Film came out in 1993, 30 years ago. Were you alive then?
No.
No, I would have only been 2 when that came out. Are you 2?
No.
No, how old are you?
5.
You're 5. That's amazing. And you're a podcaster now?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be worried?
No.
Okay, well, that's good. You're not going to kick me off my own show?
No.
I'm glad. All right. Super Mario Bros. Movie is produced by Illumination Studios, so they've made films like Despicable Me, 1, 2, and 3, with a 4 coming. Did you know they're making a 4th Despicable Me? No, you didn't know that? As well as Sing 1 and 2. You like the Sing movies, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And Secret Life of Pets. So this is their 10th movie. Are you 10?
No,
I'm sorry.
5.
You're 5? My mistake. In terms of visuals, this is the most impressive film produced by Illumination, at least in my opinion. Do you think it looked the best out of all the films you've seen by them?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you think it looks so good?
Because they're like a little bit funny.
Because they look funny? Or they acted funny?
Active.
They acted funny. So that's in terms of how the characters were acting. Did you like all of the different characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, who was your favorite character in the movie?
Peach.
Peach was your favorite? Did you like... Now, again, I should preface this. I don't know if Melody knows this, but we're going to talk about it. That if a piece of footage was used in the marketing material for the film, I would not consider that a spoiler. So if we've seen something in the trailers, we've watched the trailers on YouTube, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. More than once. Yeah, multiple times. Where that is not a spoiler. If something's been released in marketing materials, that doesn't count. So there are things in the trailers that we are going to be able to talk about, which is great because there were things you liked in the trailers, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were. So we can talk about stuff that we did see in the trailers. So things we did see in the trailers were the fact that there's a Mario Kart sequence. You enjoy Mario Kart, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the character you normally want me to be in Mario Kart?
Peach.
Yeah. So we get to see Peach for the first time in, at least in the Mario canon, video games, TV shows, films, everything that I've seen, where she actually gets to use some power-ups. Maybe more than one, maybe not. We do see one in the trailer where she uses the fire flower. Now, I'm glad that we are going to talk about the trailers, Melody. I'm going to talk for a little bit. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the permission. That most of the film, unfortunately, is in the marketing materials. If you have seen every trailer, you have very little to be surprised about. There are certainly elements of the story that are interesting in that this does set up an origin story, and we can't really get into that right now, can we?
No.
No, we can't. So, I'm going to just talk about the generics. Melody, you said you want to take a little bit of a break so I can give the non-spoiler review. Okay, we will see Melody back for the spoiler portion of the show. The film, unfortunately, feels very hollow. The spectacle and the Easter eggs and the reverence for the material is done very respectfully, which I thoroughly appreciated. But given the fact that this is a movie produced by Illumination Studios, this certainly fits in with the films that they have produced, where their films work very well on the surface, but a level of depth that you would expect from some studio like Disney, like Pixar, is just not there. Seeing this with Melody, my 5-year-old, who's going to be joining in the spoiler section, it's wildly entertaining and there's a lot to see, and it is gorgeous on 3D big screens, which is something to be said. You want to make this completely different from the Super Mario Bros. Film that came out in 1993, which was, let's be honest, super depressing and lacked a lot of color. that Mario doesn't really grow as a character. His arc is very minimal, to say the least. It is refreshing to see that Peach is not the damsel in distress. She is one of the main protagonists of the film. Toad is wildly entertaining. The voice cast in general does work very well. I've been critical of Chris Pratt, at least in the marketing material, because it just sounds like the everyman, which does work to some degree in the film. Unfortunately, because of the script level, Mario's not given a lot to do that's overall very interesting. And I think that hurts Chris Pratt, where he's a good actor, but because he's given very little to do, the performance is not going to be one that's memorable. They do play up the Italian accent that we know as Mario with the wahoo and all sorts of other catchphrases we have heard Mario say in all of the games, thanks to Charles Martinet, who may or may not have a cameo in the film. And Jack Black is super entertaining as Bowser. Charlie Day works very well as Luigi. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and their relationship is certainly one that I did not expect to be as impactful in the film as it is, but I unfortunately was disappointed with the film as a whole. It's fun to watch with kids, but I do not think it's going to stand the test of time. One thing that I've been seeing online since its release is, well, it's made for kids. What did you expect? And I hate that argument due to the fact that there are a substantial amount of films made for children, specifically, that work with families overall. You look at the Disney Renaissance period from The Little Mermaid all the way through to something like Tarzan, where Disney in particular was able to make these well executed, deep films that were essentially Broadway musicals. And then look at the other studio that's under the Disney banner with Pixar, where there is nothing in terms of emotional resonance or deep character growth or even an arc that's something that's going to be worth revisiting over and over in most of the Pixar films. Obviously Pixar, well, they made all of the Cars movies and Finding Dory. That this film just doesn't have that. This film probably works best with little kids, and unfortunately, I don't think, outside of appeasing the fact that we do get to see a lot of Mario, the film is just, again, hollow, shallow. It's just, it lacks depth that I would expect from a production studio and with partner in Nintendo, who's been so afraid to make films with their intellectual properties, with their brands. Pokemon without standing, because obviously Pokemon's continued to be its own thing outside of that. But we got a Detective Pikachu live action film. We've had two Mario films now, which took 30 years. There was allegedly supposed to be a Legend of Zelda show with Netflix that, because it leaked, it wound up never happening. That for someone so gun shy of using their characters in theatrical format, that we would have gotten something that maybe would have been worth the wait of 30 years. Is that an unfair expectation? I quite frankly don't think so, given the fact that we have been playing as this Mario character for, how long has it been now? Since 1981, unofficially, with the first release of the very first Donkey Kong game. The lore in this film is really interesting, and Melody and I are going to get into that, into spoilers, into all the things we see, but I think what would have really served this film well is a sense of focus that it does not have, because it is very interested in showing a lot, but not getting to explore enough with enough depth that would potentially be more interesting in the sequel. We may get one. The box office for this is yet to be overall analyzed, because as I'm recording this, it is on the Friday. The film's only been out for 2 days, so that'll be interesting to see. There are some teases for an upcoming sequel that we may or may not get. The critical reception to this has certainly been mixed at best. I can't really say anything more without getting into the specific story and plot elements, and I know there are scenes that Melody is looking forward to discussing, so let's get into spoilers for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So the opening for the film is Bowser fighting the Penguin Kingdom, which seems to be a part of the overall world. We get to see a bunch of different kingdoms in this. We get to see the Mushroom Kingdom. Who lives there?
Peach.
Peach, and there's a lot of toads that live there, aren't there?
Yes.
Yeah, lots of toads. And then we cut to actual Brooklyn, and it looks like Mario is just a regular human. And the reason that him and Luigi have their red and green outfits and their white gloves is you got to have an iconic look. They get to do not a trailer, a commercial with doing a more classic Mario voice. You've been practicing your Mario voice. What does it sound like?
Mr. Mario.
Good job. Does he say wahoo?
Yeah.
He does say wahoo. So I like that element, and there is a Charles Martinet cameo as Jumpman, which is fun, and you get to see some characters in the film that are from even the very beginning of the Mario games, but there's no real setup here for how Mario is going to change. We do get to see a really fun sequence that looks like the game when they are running to their very first customer who has seen their ad. Did you like the fact that the dog wanted to fight Luigi and Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sequence that was very similar to Secret Life of Pets. Was that dog kind of crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you think the dog was crazy? What was he trying to do?
Because it was trying to, rip part of Luigi's mustache off because Luigi broke the dog's bone.
That is exactly what happened. The dog didn't let it go, even though Mario said sorry. Or Luigi said sorry, did he?
Yep.
And that scene it's very Looney Tunes. It's big comedy and it's fun. And eventually they're a failure. We do get to see a lot of Mario's family. There's a lot of people sitting at that dinner table, isn't there?
Yep.
And Melody, do you remember what's the food that Mario does not want to eat?
Mushrooms.
Do I like mushrooms?
Yeah.
Do
No,
I-
I know.
No, I don't like mushrooms. That's right. So that's certainly a funny thing, but the movie gets over that really quickly because we see Mario and Luigi get teleported to the Mushroom Kingdom through what appears to be a secret passage that nobody's had access to. Do you think we would be able to fit in a green pipe?
No.
No, you don't think so? Do we have those here?
No.
Do you want to visit the Mushroom Kingdom?
Yeah.
Who would you want to visit in the Mushroom Kingdom?
Peach.
Peach? Peach is your favorite, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get to your favorite part of the movie in just a minute, okay? So we get to see the Mushroom Kingdom. We get to see a Toad, but it looks like they're all named Toad. But we get to see the one Toad who's voiced by Keegan-Michael Key. And what's the tool or kitchen item that Toad is always carrying around?
A pan.
A frying pan. Does he like cooking for the other Toads?
Yeah.
And it's funny enough he uses that as a distraction for some of the other Toads. It's funny that they don't all have individual names. I think that would have been really funny. But obviously Mario and Luigi get separated, and Mario is on this mission to save Luigi from Bowser because he gets captured, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yep. Is the Bowser's kingdom scary?
Yes.
Yeah, what's scary about it?
The lava that is surrounding the kingdom.
There is lava around the kingdom. And then what does Bowser want to do, Melody? What's his motivation? What does he want in the movie?
He wants to marry Peach.
Does he sing a really silly song about
Yeah.
marrying Peach? Did you like that part? Yeah, it made you laugh. What's that thing that Bowser steals from the penguins?
The Power Star.
The Power Star. And could he use that to destroy the entire Mushroom Kingdom?
Yes.
Yes, he could. And so that's Bowser's motivation. And because it's Jack Black, he's super funny, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right? He makes a bunch of jokes. He plays the piano. I know one of your favorite parts of the movie is the post-credit scene. Do you want to talk about what happens in that scene?
Yeah.
So what happens? We're going to jump forward to the very end of the movie. What happens to Bowser?
He gets shrinked by a shrinking mushroom that's blue.
Mm-hmm. And then where do we see him afterwards?
In a jar.
And what's he doing again?
He sings a song about Peach again.
And then do the Toad guards like that?
No.
No, what do they do?
They tell him to be quiet.
Was that scene funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so the other post-credit scene of the movie is a Yoshi egg. We see a bunch of Yoshis for a second, don't we, running?
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I was curious that we didn't see, because we do kind of get to see parts of the world, is we get to see Mushroom Kingdom where Peach lives. There's the Jungle Kingdom. I would assume it's the Ice Kingdom. And we get to see Mario, Peach, and Toad on an adventure, almost a long journey to go to the Jungle Kingdom. Why do you remember why they need to go to the Jungle Kingdom?
So they can defeat Bowser's kingdom so they can win.
Yeah, who do they need the help from? Who do they want to help them?
the Jungle Kingdom's guards.
Yeah, and who lives in the Jungle Kingdom? Do you remember?
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, who's voiced by Seth Rogen. And their fight scene it's super fun, and we get to see almost a Super Smash Bros. Fight. Doesn't it kind of look like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mario's not doing very well. Is Mario short or is he tall?
He's shorter.
And we get to see a bunch of different power-ups throughout the whole movie, and you told me, what's your favorite power-up we get to see Mario in?
The cat.
The cat suit. Does he win the fight once he becomes the cat suit?
Yeah.
What is the cat suit faster or is it slow?
It's faster.
But he scratches Donkey Kong, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And does Donkey Kong like the fact that he loses?
No.
One of the cool things that I liked about it, I don't know if you liked it, Melody, was that to travel around the Jungle Kingdom, what do they have to use?
The karate monkey car.
They do. They use carts, right? Like in Mario Kart. So that's where we get the introduction of all of these, which again, I think it's disappointing that, I don't know if this came out of nervousness, but the fact that all of these major references to the video games was given away in the spoilers. Did you like seeing them do a Mario Kart sequence on the Rainbow Road?
Yeah.
And one part that I thought was really interesting was we do actually get to see the origin of the blue turtle shell, don't we? The one that causes the big explosion?
Yeah.
What was he trying to do? Was he trying to get Mario?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that.
He was trying to kill Mario so he could not get over Peach.
That's right, because is Bowser scared that Peach is going to fall in love with Mario?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Peach and Mario fall in love? No, I don't think they do either, which is something that I appreciated, that there is some inferencing that maybe they like each other, right? But they don't kiss, do they?
No!
No, they don't. Luigi spends most of the movie where? In a cage?
Yeah.
And Charlie Day's funny. There is a reference to Mario Galaxy where we get to see a star from those games, which I'm very curious if maybe we're going to get Rosalina in the sequel. I don't actually know. You talked about, before we started recording, that your favorite part of the movie was the fact that we saw Peach using powers.
Yeah.
Right? And what power-up do we get to see at Bowser and Peach's wedding, which is where the movie has its final climax? Not its final climax. I would say its first climax, because there's about two, right? We get to see Peach using what power-up?
The ice power-up.
And what does she do with the ice power-ups? What did you see her do?
She freezes the whole wedding.
Does she want to marry Bowser?
No.
No, she doesn't. And adding a lot of independence to Peach, I think is great. A character who historically has always been the help and save me, which is the plot of pretty much every Mario game ever made, it's great. I think Anya Taylor-Joy does a good job as that character. You like this version of Peach, right?
Yeah.
Would you want to see more of these Mario movies?
Uh-huh.
Are there characters that aren't in the movie that you would like to see?
Daisy, Zelda, and Rosalina.
You want to see Zelda?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get Zelda in a Legend of Zelda movie. Do you think we should see one of those? So I'm curious, Melody, because these movies, they're aimed at you. They're not made for me. They're made for you.
Yeah.
Would you want to see a movie that's all about Donkey Kong and his dad Cranky? Would you want to see that?
Yeah, because it would kind of be like a Jungle Kingdom movie.
It would be a Jungle Kingdom movie. We do get to see references to Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, and we do get to see Dixie Kong in the movie, where they are all watching the fight scene, which we talked about already. Kind of looks like a Super Smash Bros. Scene, didn't it? Okay. So Mario's training in the film is fun. Like, he gets to progress as a fighter overall, and the MacGuffin of the film, which is captured in the very beginning of it with Bowser getting that superstar, is super cool. And then, so what happens with the superstar at the end of the movie?
Mario and Luigi use it.
So they get all the power of the superstar, and what does that let them do?
Defeat Bowser.
They defeat Bowser, and then that's when they force him to take the small mushroom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we've talked about this. This was your favorite part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But In terms of, and I don't want to say that this movie suffers from fridge logic, but to some degree it does, where Luigi doesn't learn how to fight, does he?
No.
Who learns how to fight?
Mario.
Yeah, we get to see Mario do that training, and we get to see Peach do it, which is super fun. The use of all the different power-ups is fun. My favorite Mario power-up is the Tanuki/bear suit, which we do get to see in the movie, which is really cool. And there's a massive bullet bill. So if you are looking for a movie that has all kinds of references, you're certainly going to get them here. There's an abundance of them. And unfortunately, that may have been the focus as opposed to making a three-dimensional, pun intended, film where the characters have interesting growths. Mario doesn't give up, does he?
Nope.
And he's like that at the beginning, and he's like that at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so ultimately we don't get to see a big change in Mario, which I was a little disappointed by. Did that bother you?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, but not as much as me, you don't think?
No.
No. So, safe to say, Melody, did you like the Mario Bros. Movie?
Yes.
Would you, and we've talked about this, you want to see another one?
Yeah.
Would you like to see Mario ride a Yoshi in the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm more curious. I would really like to see a Wario or Waluigi. Maybe they live in Brooklyn, or maybe they're like evil clones that Bowser makes. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Melody has characters she wants to see. I have the characters that I want to see. That'll wrap up this spoiler review of the podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Realist podcast. I failed to do this, I think, on about the last 20 episodes, and I apologize. The theme song for the show was written by the band You Versus Me. You can find their music on Apple Music and Spotify. I have an announcement. If you are listening to this, you may not know this yet, but there is going to be another bonus episode of the Film Realist podcast that is only going to be about trailers. There have been so many. As I'm recording this, Star Wars Celebration is currently happening in Europe, and there have been a ton of trailers that I cannot wait over a week to react to. So I'm going to be posting that on Monday. If you were listening to this before that, that will be April 10th. If you're listening to that after, you see that episode already on your podcast feed. I can't wait to tell you how I feel about all the upcoming Lucasfilm projects. I may or may not have been watching the Ahsoka and Indiana Jones trailer on loop today. That will do it for this week. I'm Kyle Naranya. This is the Film Realists. We'll see you next time.